Hi, Michel.
Hello.
Hi, I'm here with Michel van der A. Michel van der A is a composer, director, multimedia artist who brings together various disciplines and who leads, well, the classical opera genre into new dimensions. Uh, you're a critically, internationally acclaimed artist, and you've made some VR works in the past, and now the Doelen and Immersive Tech Week, we are so happy and proud that we can present in 2, 3 weeks' time your world premiere, the world premiere of From Dust.
Yes.
And this premiere, it will premiere December the 3rd, and it will run until December 15. And people can book tickets via the website of the Doelen. That's www.dedoelen.nl, Dedoelen.nl. And well, Michel, thank you for being here. I'm super proud that your piece will premiere at Immersive Tech Week, the
It's
10th.
a great place to premiere it, I think. A lot of people, important people are from the space, from the VR space being present. And I think what we're doing with this piece is really quite exciting. So it's an opera of about 25 minutes, and the audience goes in one by one. There's an amazing ensemble called Sjaella, a German vocal sextet, who will be singing the music of the opera. But what's really cool is that each audience member during an onboarding session is being asked several questions about their being, and they're asked to describe surroundings and objects, and all this information that being recorded in the intake is being processed by AI and rendered live into the VR experience. So each one gets to see their own story and a unique version of the opera, which yeah, is super exciting. We did an alpha test last week and got some amazing response from people who are really quite struck by sort of walking around in their own, their own descriptions, and their own yeah, almost psychological questions to psychological answers. So that's maybe a bit of a technical part of it, but it's yeah, I think it's a very colorful, kaleidoscopic experience, both musically as visually. Yeah, and I can't wait to show it to people.
And so, can you tell us what was to say the start of this idea? What was the how did this idea come to life? What was sparked in you, and what did you want to do with this piece then?
Yeah, so I did one VR opera before called Eight. And what I really love about VR is that you can make the audience member the protagonist in the piece. So you can really write your story and your narrative around this one audience member. So I got really excited after making this first opera, and I started thinking, what can I do to make it even more special for the audience member? And that's why I got the idea of yeah, making basically an opera for each different audience member, a slightly different opera, a slightly different outcome for each audience member. Um, and I think yeah, you feel this opera is about you. All the singers they look at you, they interact with you. It's a very interactive piece, and very responsive work. Yeah, so I think that's something I can't do on the stage of an opera house, for example, and I can do in VR. So I can tell different stories in VR.
And where does that leave you as an author that wants to get a story across? I mean, do you have many stories that you want to get across with this piece, or is it more sort of a feeling? So, what do you want to get across with this piece?
Um, the singers of Sjaella, the six singers of Sjaella, in a way, each represent a different side of the same person, a different color of the same personality. And that's what we're trying to do in the piece as well. During the onboarding, you're being asked questions based on the five personality traits. So we sort of put people on the sliders. I mean, very roughly between organized and chaotic. Um, things having to do with intimacy, things having to do with um, um, yeah, I mean, these five sliders that psychiatrists try to pin people down to, we sort of made a more subtle version of that. So when you enter this world, you're being placed on a spot in this world that really fits your personality. But there's always a way to travel to the other extreme of that slider, to the other extreme of that personality trait. And together with the visual descriptions you give, yeah, I think it becomes very concrete. Yeah, very um, in a very poetical way. You enter these dimensions that you talked about before. It's difficult for me to explain because it's
Yeah.
such an intuitive thing, also. But I think what makes it very special, because you recognize your own onboarding, the things you talked about in your onboarding. And I mean, the journey really starts with the onboarding, continues in VR, and then now there's a moment for you to settle down at the end and sort of consider what you've seen.
And so you're also working with, you say, AI here,
Mhm.
artificial intelligence. What did you want to achieve with it, and does it deliver, and does it really help you as an artist? Is it yeah, what does it bring the piece, and is it really delivering what you longed for?
I mean, it helps shape the particular colors for each audience member in a way. So in that sense, yes, it does what I wanted to do. We use it really as a tool. It's not the heart of the opera. I mean, the opera is about the six singers, about the music, about the main skeleton of the story. But within this skeleton of the story, um, once you start seeing things that reflect on yourself, on your individual experience as an audience member, I think you really feel seen, not only by the singers but also by the piece itself, and that's what I'm hoping for, and yeah, that the audience will experience. And yeah, AI is really a tool. So we developed our own models that we run locally, and we generate the environments with that. And automatically, after a new visitor comes in, the previous visitor's data is overwritten. So we really care about privacy here. So it's a one-off experience that will never appear again, which also makes it kind of beautiful, like life itself.
Yeah, that's super unique. Is it also, do you also see it as a, because hey, the audience can go only in one by one.
Yeah.
How did Yeah, how's that for you you're making this now for a very tiny group of people? Does it bother you, or do you think of hacks how to make this available for maybe 1,000 people at a time, or where do you see this going?
I mean, it is a very individual experience, and that's also, I think, what's powerful about it. It's really about one audience member and unique story for one audience member. Of course, it's a super uncommercial way of presenting works. I mean, it's super costly, and um, it's not really scalable in that sense. But we're actually developing something else this fall, and we'll premiere that in spring. We're working on a digital platform where we can present these works through the Apple Vision Pro and through the Steam VR stores. So it's like a digital theater, which is interactive, and you can do room scale experiences there. Reporting my previous opera 8 there, and some other works, and we're creating some new works for it. So people at home can then see these experiences, and hopefully we'll be able to reach a larger audience with it.
Okay, and this will be focused, say, on musical pieces, on
Yeah,
on
yeah,
oh,
music
that's
theater. Yeah,
music theater. Oh, that's super nice. So so that's going to be launched.
it's a bit of a premiere. How do you say? What is it in English? Um, the cat is out of the bag a little bit now. It's called
Yeah.
Here, and we'll be officially launching it next year. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's super exciting. And well, if you do you see more composers of your stature of doing this work that you're doing, or how do you see it? Are people just keeping away from it? Is it do you feel like you're sort of well, you're doing groundbreaking work? Is that also the kick for you, or and
I mean, I think you know this as well. I think more and more makers are creating super interesting artworks with it. And there's not a lot of people who are doing opera works. Maybe except Selena Dame in Holland makes beautiful operas as
yeah.
well. And I think more and more people will do so. So I think it's just, I mean, one thing that I really like about it, and also the project that we're doing to be able to present it at home, is that you can reach a completely new audience, an audience that for whatever reason can't find their way to a theater or to an opera house, whether they live far away, whether they are neurodivergent or physically not able to go. I mean, it's a wonderful chance for a new type of audience to see these works. And yeah, so I think for me that's the end goal. Not only presenting them in spaces like on your wonderful Immersive Tech Week, but also in the end being able to see them at home in your living room. Um, yeah, so to bring it really to the couch in people's living rooms.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And personally, I always thought that opera could like feel so fit for VR as it is a world. It's a story, but it's a musical story, so you can be really in it. Do you, if you look back at say opera tradition, do you think there's other operas that have been written in the past that could be fit for VR? Or if you think of composers, what if VR would have been there like 400 years? Which composers
Uh,
do you think would have?
Mozart would definitely have made a VR opera. I'm pretty
Who?
convinced. Mozart, he would be up for it. I think for me, the interesting thing about making an opera in VR is that you can make something which is really interactive, and an audience is more than just an observer, but is really a protagonist in the piece. And you know, when you all go to the opera house, it's this beautiful ritual of being together and experiencing this artwork. And it doesn't, for me, compete at all with the VR opera. It's just a different type of story you can tell. So
How
I,
does
I
that?
would, yeah, I would feel you need to write operas that are specifically made for VR and to really bring out the best of the technical possibilities. I don't really believe in these pieces where you just lean back in your chair and you sort of are in this 3D world and look around. I mean, I don't think that's very interesting. I want people to walk around, be interactive, being an essential key in the storytelling of the piece. That's what excites me about that medium.
But that's as a music is driven by time, and also an experience. Well, a theatrical experience is driven by timing, and timing is super important to keep something exciting and to keep people on their toes. Now, if you that's sort of seemingly in conflict with a person that's not part of the story, or a person that's not written in the story, or a person that did not rehearse the story. To how do you make sure the protagonist doesn't kill your piece?
I mean, yeah, I mean, it has to be part of the concept of the piece, of course. So if you look at From Dust, the piece that will be premiering with you in 3 weeks, it's built in with the game engine. So there are all these different roads people can take, and we have to take into account all these possibilities and make sure, yeah, you have some sort of freedom in how you get through the piece, not only physically but also in time. So there are moments where the music sort of stops for a moment and is disconnected from the timeline and then continues again. So there's this flexibility in timing as well. Um, yeah, these things help make you feel as an audience member that you have something to say in this world.
So you use a game engine to build this opera.
Yeah.
Are you a gamer?
Not really. I'm super interested and I do follow it, but I just don't have time to game. And every time I try something, I give up after a few hours because I have so many other things to do. But my kids, I have two sons, they're both gamers, and I look over their shoulder now and then. And I think this idea of I mean, the fantasy that is used in these games, is some of these games, is so close to what I'm trying to do with this opera. So I really feel if you're an indie gamer, you would be potentially very interested. You could be potentially interested in a piece like From Dust because you'll recognize many of the metaphors and mechanisms of how to move through this world through portals and through interaction. And I think the language in this piece is has definitely connections with indie games.
And would it be difficult for a normal, say, for an opera lover to experience your piece?
Um, it will be a different experience, and this is also what we saw with my previous piece, Eight. I mean, there are people that stand there and sort of watch and walk when they have to walk, and there are people that really try to try to feel the boundaries of the piece and to the limits of the piece and be much more interactive. And I think both routes are possible in From Dust. We make sure that if someone doesn't do something we want them to do, that we build in fallbacks for people to give a gentle nudge in the right direction.
Okay. Okay. So it's also for people that are not avid gamers,
Absolutely,
they will be
absolutely.
able to go
Everybody
through.
should be able to go through. Really, my mother should be able. My mother is. I use her as an example. If she gets through, then everybody can get through.
And did she get through?
We don't know yet. She hasn't seen it yet, but I'm developing it with her in mind
Oh, that's wonderful.
one of the sides of the story. Yeah.
Hey, and you're almost there. Is it in, I mean, it's in 3 weeks. Is there a lot to do? Is it
It's just a finishing touch now. I mean, the whole groundwork is done. Everything works. We're just making things more beautiful right now and working on lighting and a lot of the hand interaction, all that stuff we're building now. So it's like polishing right now.
okay? And where will the piece go? Where will it travel? Is that already known where the
We're
piece?
trying to quite a few presenters outside of the country, but we'll soon publish, probably around the opening, publish a list of where people can see it. But
Okay.
definitely we'll travel to Asia, probably also to the UK, to Germany. So yeah, France. So we have a few lines going.
Okay, wonderful. Well, I'm like I said, I'm super proud and happy that you're premiering the piece. 10 years ago, we started the first VR days with a theatrical experiment and just trying to see what could be done with this in a on a storytelling creative level with this medium. And now you of all people with your wonderful work, you're creating a new piece which is world premiering at Immersive Tech Week, the 3rd of December, and it's there until the 15th of December. So
And we have a limited amount of slots. So if people want to see it, I would go
yeah,
run rather than walk to the box office,
exactly. Book
virtual
now.
box office.
Book
Yeah.
now. Um, Michel, thank you so much.
Thank you, Benjamin.
We're looking forward to the piece. Is there anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, maybe only that despite everything I talked about the technicalities of the piece, everybody really can do this piece. You shouldn't be afraid. We built it in a way that everybody will be in a natural way being guided through. So this piece is for everybody, not only for gamers, but also for senior citizens that want to have a little adventure in their day, for everybody.
Well, thank you and see you soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.